for the rest of these other brawlers. Nice enough from Tacos. This time is able to deal with the Miko before he can get any damage done. And now the Berry Fields are doing work on Crazy Raccoon's safe.
Boy, with the gadget just goes straight for the safe. Shielded as well.
They're
and now
ignoring him.
being back for defense. It's a great brawler choice. Very East Asia. And it's proving its worth. Safe is cracked, but also STMN are getting some very good damage now. 2 stages are down. And continuing so with the helping hand of the kids and the Mina. This is exactly what STMN needs to respond like.
They have enough. They have enough damage.
Race, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
6% here for Crazy Raccoon. STMN have done enough. That kid team up. So much damage from those yarn balls allows them to get ahead in the race against this Miko. And they've got to throw themselves at this. Tensai, though, of course, has the stopping power to make sure Berry can advance no further. But here comes Juan Carlos. Here comes Tacos. They're hungry. They're looking for that save. 1-2 punch, and that's all she wrote. STMN, make a game of it.
Cut the tension with a knife. That could have gone either way for sure. Moya pushing himself forwards. Absolutely could have got that. That's safe. On the side of STMN was going down fast, but they hang on a little bit longer. The game that was so important to earn, now STMN might be able to make this a set.
There goes Milkrio yet again, Ark. Juan Carlos on defense duty, gives a good account of himself. Tensai is off the field, but Milkrio's getting a lot of free damage onto that safe. STMN yet to be able to go on the offense. Now we'll charge into that midfield. Moya, though, sitting on a super, so dangerous as a defensive piece. And of course, Milkrio is immutable. He's always here, always in the mix. And now, back to safe duty. Dodges a super there for Tacos. And has to be cleared the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, STMN there, floundering slightly. Need to play defense. Pain would love to get to the other side of this map, though. Place that healthy additive scadage onto the other side. Milkrio continuously getting damage now. That's the second stage down. Time is not on the side here of STMN.
No, I don't like this. I don't like this at all for Juan Carlos and Tacos. They're too far behind to start all-in racing Crazy Raccoon. It's these shield stages are too much to deal with, and it feels like a little bit of an anticlimactic finish now as STMN will get crushed. Crazy Raccoon come to collect, and the safe is spilled.
Now we got ourselves a game. For STMN now, this is going to put them to the test. They've got to dig deep. They can do this. I actually really do rate the predictions of those that have gone with STMN in this series, but it is slowly getting away from them. But we've got some fight nonetheless. I still feel like this is far from over. The scoreline looks like it's one-sided, but STMN are showing that they've got the ability to do this. It just needs to turn into sets along the way.
I'm going to point the finger at Coach Roldo after that particular set arc. There's some glaring problems in the draft. It's fine to allow the Miko through. When you do, though, you need to play riskily yourself. You need to all in with 2 brawlers to match the impact on your safe of 1. You need Tacos and Juan Carlos to go together. You basically need the kit attachment to a teammate to allow for that extra damage. So many things have to line up. The margins for STMN are much thinner on that heist map, and unfortunately, they don't solve the puzzle this time around. They got one last chance to put themselves and their region on the map for real this time.
Well, I love that from STMN. You know, if you took that screenshot there, you'd think that they may have won the set. They are looking still in very high spirits. They're not taking everything personally.
House money.
Exactly. They are knowing, all seeing, all knowing in that regard, that they are in a position which no one expects them to be in. That takes off some pressure. Of course, CR, having Milkrio, they've already got their cheater on that side, but for STMN, they've got to come together in times like this, and a group discussion like that, smiles on their faces, it does tell me a lot about the team.
Absolutely. They're feeling good. Obviously, Crazy Raccoon always have this high energy. And I'll be honest, they were much more intense, I think, with Shtitampo on the lineup, right? Still jovial, but man, no one breaks a moment quite like Milkrio. And now when you're ahead, that's just wind in your sails. That's extra momentum for you. We're off to Bell's Rock, folks. It's knockout in our 3rd set of this series. For Crazy Raccoon, another very good map. It's their best knockout field. And they're like a classic here. Don't be surprised if you see an RT first pick, round that out with solid, answers like Gray, Brock to open up the map. have answers if they're going to see potential throwers here. You notice they've already banned out the tick. Crazy Raccoon do not want to deal with that, and they will attempt to still open the map.
Fierce, fabulous, and
Angelo, first pick for STMN. I do like that Grey Ban also could spell some throwers. RT open. I feel like that's going to be Crazy Raccoon's first to pick up Brawler. Let's see, Gus available as well. That's the very East Asian option. To be able to combine that shielding with basically anything as that third and final pick will be theirs. That would be the worst of ideas to lock down now. Nanny making a bit of a reprise in this map too. Byron as well could be something to combine with some tankier options, but the Oli ban might make them stay clear.
Yeah, seeing the Nanny bit's a bit of a semantic special, but here it is. First pick RT. Crazy Raccoon, they're nothing if not consistent. And now you can work with this a little bit. If you do want to give yourself the grey option, it's not available to you. So you need to consider other ways of giving yourself some late game determinism. Quite often when you build up these compositions, you do want to think about what happens if we don't find early picks, if the enemy don't make any mistakes. How do we force errors, or how do we impose our game plan before things get a little bit too hairy? I think Byron's a decent analog for that, right? Has a super that can really turn the tide of any fight on its head, and honestly can assist with some of those lanes that are struggling early, keep them topped up. Especially if like Milcreo, for example, finds himself against the Angelo, or just a sharpshooter that outranges him. That's a way that will make that a little bit less of a painful matchup.
Hank still open potentially for Crazy Raccoon. Not my preferred idea, but they could deviate towards it. STMN can't really break the map too much to allow the Angelo to go to town, because the RT now is going to be quite tough to play into as well as the Byron. So they've got to maybe steer clear of some of those ideas.
Survivors.
Kaze go the aggressive. I really like that for them. But if their third pick is not a wall break, then it does leave a potential throw it on the castle for Crazy Raccoon if they wish to go for it as well. And for me, STMN can't really risk a throw in this position.
No. Crazy Raccoon, I feel, if they see a thrower, right, they start thinking about wall break. They already have a decent defensive contingency when the Kaze comes to call. Right, obviously that Byron super is very important. We know that RT doesn't, is more than happy to take a close range engagement. So STMN might need a little bit more to supercharge this Kaze. The plan is not quite complete for them here. The Piper comes in. Okay, Queen of Sharpshooters hits the field. STMN say, we want to make sure we have range supremacy in at least one of these lanes. And if it's RT that she's up against, it's going to be a nightmare for Milcreo.
But Nanny's open. I mean, Meatpool's open. These are brawlers can really shut down the Piper. It's not the place in the draft really for me to, in this meta, kind of pick it. It's a really last pick brawler. As much as it is my favorite brawler in the game, it leaves Crazy Raccoon with a lot of options to be able to shut this down. They're going to be going with the Jae-Young. Additional speed will make it much harder to hit those shots.
It's pretty audacious to find the Piper here. I tend to agree. Tarkos, though, will be able to outrange. So if that skill ceiling is high enough, you'll be able to be quite oppressive in these early rounds. The Crazy Raccoon have so many answers to this Kaze.